tonight on NAIT NewsWatch.
City Council debates a makeover for Commonwealth Stadium.
They're having this much trouble with the hockey arena, and then now they just have $35 million out of nowhere to get renovations done.
And Edmonton celebrates the first International Day of the Girl.
These are devastating realities for many girls around the world.
And how our city plans to cash in on China's trash.
And how do you manage garbage? We have that expertise.
NAIT NewsWatch starts right now. Good evening. Families in Edmonton gathered this week to remember missing and murdered women and girls in Edmonton.
The walk was started in May 2007 to raise awareness for the number of missing and murdered Métis, Inuit, non-status, and First Nations women in Canada. Our Dylan LaLiberté joins us live from our news center with more on this story.
The Soul and Sisters Walk raises awareness about the violence against Aboriginal women in Canada, but some of the people who came out this year wanted to show support for not only the women, but also the men affected by the violence.
No more Soul and Sisters!
Gina Dagernis' son Luke was last seen by his mother on June 7, 2007 in Prince George, BC. His mother attended the walk in support of other families experiencing the loss of their child and helped to create awareness for her missing son. Along with other women and men who have gone missing, she hopes to one day find her son.
We found a fellow named Lucas who was amazingly similar looking to my son. However, he was too old.
The walk has helped create a group of people who have helped support each other and spread the word about both men and women who are missing or murdered. April Eve founded the movement and hopes these events provide some help for the families.
We just want to be out there to support the families and to continue to honor those missing and murdered women.
People who attended signed to support a plan to stop the violence against Indigenous women and girls. The petition is in support of the government working with Aboriginal women's organization to come up with a national plan of action. The Assembly of First Nations would also like to see a national inquiry into the violence against these women.
My heart goes out to all the families that have a missing loved one.
Gina hopes to find her son and will continue to go to these events for support and help create awareness. She hopes changes will be made so her young daughter will be safe.
I have a young daughter. I want her safe. I want her sound. I want her to be able to walk the streets without being harassed.
Aboriginal leaders would also like Darcy and Pete to set up a special task force to study the high number of cases of missing and murdered women in Canada.
How high is the number of Aboriginal women missing in Canada?
More than 500 Aboriginal women and girls have been murdered or gone missing at this time.
Are Aboriginal women at greater risk of death due to violence than other Canadian women?
Reports have shown that Aboriginal and girls are about 5 times more likely than any other Canadian woman to die due to violence.
Thanks, Dylan. That was Dylan LaLiberté reporting live from our news center. NAIT's Aboriginal students and staff celebrated a week honoring their heritage on campus. NAIT's Aboriginal Awareness Week kicked off on Monday. The event honors the Inuit and Métis First Nations peoples with sharing circles, raising of teepees, throat singing, and dancing. NAIT is not the only school that has an Aboriginal Week in the city, according to Peggy Richmond, an Inuit.
Have Aboriginal Awareness Week, and I've done that before, like presenting stories about Inuit culture.
Aboriginal Awareness Week wrapped up on Friday afternoon.
This is NAIT NewsWatch.
One of the most well-known sports stadiums in Canada could be getting a facelift.
The city is looking at renovating and expanding of Commonwealth Stadium in time to welcome the world. Updating the biggest sports stadium in town was a hot topic this week at City Hall, as city councilors discussed changes to Commonwealth in time for the Women's World Cup.
All those in favor? I'd like to thank everybody.
3 options are on the table for renovations to the stadium. The first option will cost $35 million to renovate the concourse of the north side of the stadium. The second proposal expands the southwest corner of the stadium with additional locker rooms, which would cost just over $20 million. And the third option includes temporary trailers on the field for players and medical staff at a cost of just over $12.5 million. The proposal is to make sure Commonwealth Stadium is ready for the world in 2015 when the Women's World Cup comes to Edmonton. Commonwealth, which was opened in 1978 for the Commonwealth Games, has stayed the same for the most part in its 34-year history as a sports stadium and concert venue. Mayor Stephen Mandel and Councillor Amarjeet Sohi both would rather that the existing locker rooms and facilities at Commonwealth and the Recreation Centre be used for the needs of players and medical staff first.
The price tag is just staggering for dressing rooms. We have them, and we've got a brand new recreation center. We spent $100 million, which is first class.
There are requirements from the Federation that we need to meet, and if those requirements can be met by looking at existing facilities, then we need to explore that, because that's the most cost-effective way of doing it, right? Danny
Chamberlain is an Edmonton Eskimos fan who thinks the changes to Commonwealth Stadium would be nice, but wonders where the cash would come from for the city to pay for the renovations.
I do go to games, so it would be nice to have a nicer area to sit in and whatnot, but still it's a little ridiculous when they're having this much trouble with the hockey arena, and then now they just have $35 million out of nowhere to get renovations done. It's crazy.
Council is expected to make a decision on the proposals on October 31st.
One man's trash is another man's treasure, or at least it seems that way in light of a new deal Edmonton's waste management has made with a company in China.
Everywhere around the world is looking for expertise in how do you manage garbage. We have that expertise.
Waste Resolutions Edmonton, a company owned by the city, will guide the development of a new waste management system in Beijing's E-Town. After the city puts $1 million in startup costs, the city expects to collect large dividends from profits generated by the recycling facility.
I don't want to put out a number there because it's still being negotiated, but it will be significant.
The city hopes to use this pilot project to launch similar initiatives across China and the world.
Youth struggling to overcome the crippling symptoms of anxiety will soon have a new tool to help them cope. Anxiety-based crises make up 26% of all mental health-related emergency room visits in youth in Alberta. Wired is an internet-based cognitive therapy program being designed to help teens manage their anxiety.
As the youth indicates what their particular concerns are, the back end of Wired will then reorganize to give them modules, videos, stories, and comics related to those particular concerns so they can deal with those specifically.
Wired is expected to be up and running in the new year, thanks in part to a $500,000 donation to the stollery from RBC as a part of an initiative to unmask mental health issues.
Girls across the globe and right here at home have a new day named in their honor. Mayor Stephen Mandel proclaimed Edmonton's involvement in the International Day of the Girl Child every October 11th. The day was an initiative started through the United Nations to acknowledge the contributions girls make in society, as well as bring to light the struggles they still face today.
Issues of gender-based violence, sexual exploitation, forced labor, homelessness, illiteracy, forced marriage, poor nutrition, and ill health. These are devastating realities for many girls around the world.
It's estimated that 60% of girls face stereotypes that limit their ability to be themselves. It's hoped that by celebrating the Day of the Girl, young women in the future will achieve true gender equality.
City Hall is hosting a photo exhibit to honor 100 years of women in the Edmonton police force.
She paved the way for many other females to follow in her footsteps, such as myself.
The exhibit features photographs of Edmonton's women officers, from the first female constable, Annie Jackson, who was hired in Edmonton in 1912, to those currently serving the city. The images also reveal the various uniforms worn by female officers over the last 10 decades.
I don't know how they could have ran in heels and, carried your sidearm in a purse and all of the things that they had to deal with at the time. And trying to chase someone down in a skirt.
Things have certainly come a long way for the more than 350 female police officers currently patrolling and protecting our city. The exhibit was open to the public at City Hall until next Friday.
Hey, thanks again.
Pit bull owners have something to celebrate as the city considers removing breed-specific bylaws. American Staffordshire dogs, Staffordshire Terriers, and any crossbreeds currently have special rules that their owners must abide by. However, critics say it's not about the breed and all about how the dog is trained and treated. Changes to the bylaw would define a restricted dog as any dog with a history of aggression. It was considered by Edmonton's Community Services Committee on Tuesday, but will have to pass through City Council to get approved. Coming up after the break, how to avoid the dreaded freshman 15.
And Ryan McDonald's Wicker shows us how to battle the bulge.
How do you afford healthy eating when you're paying tuition and rent and utilities?
This week in sports, we have big announcements from both the Rush and the Edmonton Eskimos. We have some ladies soccer, and we have some six-man high school football. Stay tuned.
Coming up after the break, we'll talk about why it's been so cold this fall and what you have to look forward to for the rest of the weekend. All that and more coming up.
NAIT halls will soon be flooded with prospective students looking towards their futures.
On Friday, October 19th and Saturday, October 20th, interested visitors will have the chance to check out over 100 unique programs.
They will be greeted by instructors and students who will share their personal experiences within their program. Alumni will also be on hand to show some of the benefits of learning at NAIT.
With 122 choices, you've got areas you've never even dreamed of that would be a career for you.
The open house will take place at NAIT's main campus on 106th Street and Princess Elizabeth Avenue. RSVP in advance at NAIT.ca for your chance to win an iPad 3. All right, and now we go to Wayme Teeter, who is waiting outside in the cold to give us an update on the weather.
Well, it's definitely been a lot colder this week than it has been in recent history. This is all due to an Arctic high-pressure system that was moving in from the north, and that's why we saw a bit of that snow on Wednesday. Hopefully that's all going to change, though, now. There's a southwest pressure system moving in, which is going to start warming things up a little bit. Let's take a look at the boards for tomorrow's weather. In Calgary, we're going to have a high of 17 and a low of 4 with a 60% chance of showers. In Jasper, there'll be a low of 4, a high of 12, and also a 60% chance of showers. Fort McMurray is going to experience a little bit colder, a low of 0 and a high of 10, and they'll be partly cloudy. And here in the capital in Edmonton, we're going to see a high of 14 and a low of 2 tomorrow with sunny and cloudy breaks. The almanac average temperature for this day is minus 11. It's a high of 11 and a low of minus 1. And the record low for this day was in Edmonton. It was minus 11 back in 1886. And the record high for this day was 28 degrees back in 1945.
Weather's been brought to you by NR92, the station for the students.
So it's definitely going to warm up a little bit. We won't see so much cold that we have in this last week. But definitely try and get in some fun before it gets too cold.
Exactly. I mean, before the snow comes down, because once it gets down, who wants to be outside in this weather once snow starts to hit? Exactly, Wayme.
Definitely, Avery. Thank you.
Fantastic stuff. Wayme Teeter reporting outside.
15 pounds takes no time to gain, but what seems like forever to lose.
Weight gain for students is especially challenging with such busy schedules and fast food at their fingertips. Ryan McDonald's Wicker finds out how to battle the freshman 15.
From pizza to pop, all is available for NAIT students, which is quick to grab for a meal. But the consequences of that quick meal start to show on your waistline. Corey Hallaby is one student that has avoided the freshman 15 with daily exercise. His best advice? Make your exercise fun for you.
Some fun activities that you could do is you could swim, you could skate at NAIT, you can take a class such as hot yoga even, cycling. You can even play a competitive match using squash rooms, racquetball rooms, even ping pong.
The gym may be intimidating, but the first thing you have to do to get healthy and fit is get active. There are many options for every student. Personal trainers are also available at NAIT for those who need a motivation boost.
When it comes to the freshman 15, working out is only half the battle. What you eat also plays an important role.
Food is a huge problem, right? Because nutrition is such a huge part of your fitness. that, like, how do you afford healthy eating when you're paying tuition and rent and utilities? So that's probably the biggest problem, I think, when it comes to fitness with students.
One of the smartest things a student with a busy schedule and on a budget can do is pack a lunch the night before. That way you know exactly what you are putting into your body. Another item to avoid is alcohol, which is empty calories that only raise your caloric intake. Rianne McDonald-Zwicker, NAIT NewsWatch.
Here in for sports, Matt, I heard the Edmonton Rush made a big announcement this week.
Yeah, they did, along with the Edmonton Eskimos. I'll have more on that coming right up. This cold weather we've been having hasn't chilled the red-hot play of NAIT's men's and ladies soccer teams. The men are undefeated in the ACAC standings with a 6-0 record, while the ladies sit atop their own division with a 5-0-1 record. The ladies are taking on the Keano Huskies in a 2-game series this weekend with hopes of locking up that top spot and continuing their winning streak heading into the final weeks of the regular season. The Ouk's explosive offense has outscored their opponents 20-5 in 6 games so far this season. That trend looks like it could continue against the Huskies, who have struggled defensively this season, being outscored 24-2 in their 6 games. The Ouks have thrived this season thanks in part to the ladies' all-time ACAC career scoring leader and captain of NAIT, Leanne Kadatz. The Ouks' next home game is against the second-place Concordia Thunder on October 20th. Sports execs often jump from team to team in their respective leagues, but from sport to sport, well, that's exactly what former Eskimo PR man Dave Jamieson has done. Coming off an exciting 2012 season where they finished the campaign as the Western champions, the Rush are making some big changes this offseason. Shortly after selecting lacrosse phenom Mark Matthews in the 2012 National Lacrosse Draft, last week the Rush announced former president of Communications and Broadcast as a new president of the Rush. Jamieson hopes to bring his experience in both marketing and media to the Rush.
I've got 14 years in professional sports in this market, so I think I have a fairly good handle on what the Edmonton sports fan wants and what they demand.
Jamieson hopes to make the Rush even more popular among Edmontonians and to build on last season's success.
It's to have a winning record, home playoff game, and give us a chance to compete for that Champions Cup, and I think we won't disappoint.
And then there were two. In the midst of a season full of uncertainty and surprises, the Eskimos have once again made big changes to their roster. Earlier this week, Edmonton announced they had dropped running back Corey Boyd just 4 games after signing him. Boyd was released from Toronto Argonauts in August, signing with Edmonton just 1 day later. Boyd was the third back for the S, along with Hugh Charles and Jerome Messam. Along with Boyd, Edmonton also announced the release of defensive back Ronnie Prude. Prude has missed 7 regular season games for Edmonton this season due to injury. The Breton Cougars hit the gridiron in the snow on Wednesday against the Sedgwick Rams in a game that had big playoff implications for the Western Alberta 6-man football league. The Breton offense started strong on the opening kickoff, with Breton receiving and taking this ball 70 yards all the way to the house for their first TD of the game. The Rams fumbled on their first possession of the game, recovered by Breton, which would lead to this 30-yard major by Breton receiver Josh Halushka. The Cougars continued to pour it on in the first quarter, putting Breton way up, way early. The Rams finally broke away on a sweep late in the second, showing some life, showing some wheels, and getting on the board with a 75-yard run. The Breton backfield freezes up on their blocks here, causing quarterback Hunter Gooderman to call his own number. He has some wheels, takes this one to the 35, drops the ball. Breton hit the ground running after the half, keeping the ball in the hands of Halushka, who dances his way through the Rams defenders all the way to the house for yet another. A late Rams push makes it an interesting game, but the Cougars' explosive offense and solid D holds on for a 52-26 final.
I mean,
We needed this win as far as playoffs to hold our playoff position. This is one of the teams chasing us. It's a big win.
The Cougars are third in their division after Wednesday's win, ahead of Sedgwick. Some of the players after the game talked about how they were giving ground to the Rams, but kept it in check.
I think our morale got too high, and then we all got too confident.
We could tell that they were going to be a little bit more difficult, that just keep on going and keep giving her.
Wow, that was cool, Matt. 6-man football, a lot more faster than the Canadian or American games with more than 10 guys in the field at once.
Yeah, as you know, that's what I used to play in. The wide open field makes it super easy for offensive guys to break through those defenders and make those 75-yard runs.
Oh, ain't that the truth. All right, thank you, Matt.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Coming up after the break, Service Credit Union is helping out young parents.
The annual diaper drive is happening this month.
Hopefully it's going to improve their quality of life.
And this week in entertainment, we take a look at one of Edmonton's local music treasures and how to fight the coming frost fashionably. All that and more coming up next. You're watching NAIT NewsWatch.
Toddlers were off to races at the kickoff for this year's diaper drive.
Young families gathered at Braemar High School for the festivities.
3, 2, 1, go!
A baby can use as many as 200 diapers per month, an expense that can be a really tough burden for a young parent to bear.
It is so expensive, and sometimes we don't even have enough money to go out and buy what we need.
Each year, the Service Baby Heroes in support of the Terra Center hold a diaper drive where they collect diapers to distribute throughout the year to families in need.
If we can help offset those expenses and supply them with diapers, then hopefully it's going to improve their quality of life.
Diapers can be dropped off at any Service Credit Union location, and every dollar donated will buy 5 diapers. You can also text a donation by sending diaper to 45678. Our entertainment reporter May Anderson got up close to the world of film this week.
Literally and figuratively, as she gives us a sneak peek of a new movie with a familiar face. It's time for entertainment.
Grant McCune is bringing together a new kind of photography experience. The university's photography program has introduced new weekend and evening workshops for the public. This weekend's class is all about taking a step back from the digital world and appreciating the true art behind the camera with black and white film.
I think with today's technology, everything is mediated through a computer, and there isn't a lot of opportunity for hands-on kind of working anymore, and this is really tactile. Really hands-on.
Advancements in digital photography have made it possible for easier consumer-level photos. That's why the campus also offers a variety of upcoming weekend classes for iPhone photography as well as toy cameras. The workshops are open to people of all ages and of all photography skill levels. Well, Alberta is known for its festivals, but what some music fanatics may not know is that deep inside of the capital lies a place for Canadian musical discoveries.
Here's the office, and planning on turning this into a green room eventually, probably in the next week or so.
Philip Muse, owner of The Artery, is planning out a few small changes to his music venue. Located in downtown Edmonton, The Artery has been around for almost a decade. Combining visual and performing arts, it's surely lived up to its name.
The goal of The Artery is to have everyone kind of come together, have a common place where everyone can enjoy music and talk freely and feel comfortable.
Although a small venue, the intimacy during a show is greatly appreciated on nights like one Philip is preparing for, a sit-down singer-songwriter performance by 4 local artists. Even the bar that completes the venue supports home-brewed beers like Edmonton-based Alley Cat. For Philip, it's important to bring attention to the underground talent that the city has.
Local music's very important for the community and expresses creativity and builds community and brings people together.
Just this summer, the Artery encountered some setbacks. The venue had a break-in, which caused some financial instability for the independent business. But with support from the music scene, a successful fundraising event for the Artery helped it back on its feet.
It was really great to see everyone really come together and staying from, we opened the doors at 7 o'clock till kicking people out at 3 o'clock, and it was a really, really great night, and it was a really warm experience to have everyone kind of gather around such a terrible thing that happened to me.
Now Philip says he set the past aside and moved on to the positive things coming. The evening for singer-songwriters is just about to begin.
My tears are turning the snow into mud, and I can't feel mud.
Included on the night's bill is local musician Kimberly McGregor. In the moment, song and soul are one. And for Philip, that's what the Artery is all about.
Ladies, a change of season means a change of wardrobe, but you don't have to sacrifice your sense of fashion for it. We give you a few tips on how to keep warm this fall in style. Edmonton-based clothing store Shades of Grey has just received their fall 2012 collections, and this year the trend is feminine edge.
Leather is one of the biggest trends coming into the fall right now. We have a sweater dress that we've belted. It has leather paneling through the arms and in the back.
Oxblood Red is one of the hot shades for the cooler months, and Marina understands the challenges when choosing clothing that will keep you toasty without the frumpy.
Number one thing is layering. So she's wearing like a 100% wool jacket, and she has her like a dressy shirt. So you can still look good, but just keep the layers on.
These thicker yet still classy fall articles will have you fighting the cold weather and winning. Well, after a 2-year hiatus, Ben Affleck steps back onto the director platform in this week's drama thriller, Argo.
Actions of Iran have shocked the civilized world.
Based on true events from the late 70s, Argo depicts the story of a special CIA team sent out to rescue American hostages across the ocean after a crisis breaks in Iran.
Our embassy has been seized and more than 60 American citizens.
When a group of Islamists attack the American embassy, 6 of the hostages flee and take refuge in the Canadian ambassador's home.
If we're going to go, then we need to go now.
The CIA team, which stars Ben Affleck and Bryan Cranston, must come up with a quick and easy way to get the hostages back on American soil.
I got an idea. We all fly out together as a film crew.
The team travels to Hollywood and other exotic filming locations for their fake science fiction movie that they call Argo, in hopes of finding the American hostages. This motion picture is more than just politically involved and leaves the audience members with surprising comic relief and the gripping reality of our world. Argo is now in Canadian theaters.
And that's it for entertainment this week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thanks, May. That looks like a really great movie. I think we're going to have to go get tickets.
No, it does. We most definitely should. And hey, folks, it's been NAIT NewsWatch. Have a good night. We'll see you guys next week.